Is there anybody in here who has taken an accident scene management class before? I got 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And I'm so excited that for those of you who did Stop the Bleed today and got some information on that, thank you for taking that and thanking Stop the Bleed for offering that. So that is one of the things that I do as well. So I am the owner and instructor of Texas Trauma and Lifesaver. It is a complete motorcycle-centric training center. So I am an MSF certified rider coach. I am an accident scene management instructor. So just like I'm an independent instructor for American Heart Association, American Red Cross, and Health Sciences Institute for CPR and BLS, I am also an independent instructor for Road Guardians Accident Scene Management Bystander Assistance Program. So that being said, I do ride a motorcycle, been riding over 30 years. Go. It didn't go. All right. Apparently I am technologically crappy.
You can do everything
Is it here?
else except that.
Apparently so.
What did you do to my computer?
I don't know.
Okay, but you're on the next slide.
Okay, so for those that you don't know, accident scene management was established in 1996. Classes began in 1997. Currently, we do have instructors in, actually it should be more than 32 states and several countries. It is a bystander assistance. So let's look at what that kind of means. Okay, hold on. I didn't do it. Should I just hit the button? Will it go if I hit the button? Okay. So why bystander assistance? It is the best, most effective way that we can improve or increase the effectiveness of EMS. So early chains of survival, we need to access EMS as quick as possible. That's calling 911, early intervention, early transportation, and early life support. What some of the other presenters today were talking about with the V2V and all of that, getting EMS on a scene quicker would absolutely help with any of that. My little thing didn't show up. So what is missing on there is that bystander assistance. Why is that important? Let's look. Research says, so in the Journal of Shock and Sepsis Trauma Care Journal, they did a survey back in 2020, and the aim was to identify injury patterns in on-scene deaths and recommend ways to reduce preventable trauma deaths. What did they find out? I found this super cool. So Miami-Dade, they reviewed deaths from 2010 to 2012. They were looking at certain injury patterns, right? Looking at exsanguination, traumatic brain injury, decapitation, crushed chest, airway complications. And what they did is they issued a injury severity score, right? And found that with that median injury severity score of 41. And what is an injury severity score? So in trauma, we issue those on 0 to 75. 75 is unsurvivable, right? If we show up and they're already deceased, they get a severity score of 75, right? Anything above 25 is considered severe trauma. Above 25. The median score of these people were 41. So that'll kind of give you an idea. This was severe trauma of motorcycle accidents. 19 of those deaths, of the 60 that they looked at, right, were potentially survivable. That was 32% of those, right? How were they survivable? The 14 of them were due to airway issues, and 4 of them were due to exsanguination. You guys just learned about exsanguination. Right? Knowing how to stop the bleed at the scene of an accident, right, could have saved 7% of those people, right? Knowing how to manage an airway could have saved 23% of those people. That's pretty significant, right? So that's why bystander assistance is so important, because we can actually save lives on the scene with some sort of minor training. Trained bystanders assistance will save lives. All right, so let's talk about the class in general, and then we'll go over some stuff. So what does accident scene management do? This is what it does. It reduces injuries and fatalities. It reduces rescuer injury. That means you guys. It teaches you how to be safe on the scene so that further injuries don't happen. It increases the effectiveness of EMS. What does that mean? We're not taking the place of EMS. But if a paramedic or an EMT arrives on the scene and we've already assessed the injuries, we've done something, we've had a good 911 call to let the dispatcher know what to tell 911, they know what to jump off of that truck carrying, right? We've automatically increased their effectiveness. That is a big deal, right? Time from trauma to surgery, we want less than 1 hour. Trauma to surgery, 1 hour. Right? So the faster we can get EMS there, the faster they can assess them, get them packed up, and get them to a trauma center to know what to do, right? We've increased that survivability. How do we do that? We focus on trauma in this class. This is not a first aid class by any way, shape, or form. We don't teach first aid. This is CAPC accredited. So what is CAPC? It is the same accreditation that EMTs and paramedics and firefighters, right, get when they're looking for CEUs. So if a paramedic, a firefighter, or EMT takes this class, they actually get 6 CEUs. That tells you the class is legit, right? Totally legit. You know, it is something that goes far beyond your normal first aid class. We address difficult subjects. Jaw thrust, rescue breathing. How many of y'all taken a CPR class? Yeah. Y'all remember that whole head tilt chin lift thing? Do y'all remember that? What we're doing? Right? We don't do that in trauma. Head and neck injury is the #1 thing we should suspect in a motorcycle accident. Makes sense, right? We just talked all about helmets. You go off the bike, you hit your head, right? That helmet may save you. What about the neck compressions? What about having something happen within there, right? So we have to suspect head and neck injury. We talk about full face helmet removal, when, why, how, right? And moving the injured. So a lot of those are difficult things. So for most people, why do you think people do not help on a scene of an accident? Liability, that's a good one. What else? They don't know how. They don't feel confident. They think they're going to get sued. We talk about all those things, right? The state of Texas has a Good Samaritan law, and in that law, it says that as long as a person in good intention is providing emergency care, it does not matter what kind of emergency care it is. You could have saw it on Grey's Anatomy and been like, oh, I think that'll work, right? If that is your level of expertise, right? Now, I'm held to a different standard, right? Because I have a different level of expertise. But for a bystander, as long as you are doing it with good intent, right? I won't say you can't get sued, because guess what? We live in America. And America says, I can sue you for anything. That means that it won't go any further than the papers being served to you, right? A judge is going to look at it and go, the American Heart Association has done a great job of talking about bystander assistance in cardiac arrest. Hands-only CPR, you know, all those things. And people aren't worried then about getting sued. But they're worried about in a trauma situation where time is literally the essence of survivability, you know? So what these classes do is they help you gain some knowledge as well as some confidence in order to be able to help your fellow riders. So how do we do that? You got some PAC cards that we gave you. We go through from preventing further injury, assessing the situation, contacting EMS. That sounds like, right, everybody knows how to dial 911, right? Yes? Yes? But do you actually know how to make a good 911 call? There are 2 different things, right? Knowing what to say, how to present it, to get that information across clear and concise, that's part of how we increase the effectiveness of EMS. And then we treat the injured with life-sustaining care using the ABCSS as a trauma. So, burp. All right, what are those? You've heard this before. Airway. In our class, airway doesn't mean head tilt, chin lift. It means a jaw thrust, right? So, do y'all know what a jaw thrust is by any way, shape, or form? Nope, gonna teach you what it is real quick. So, number one, you see, well, actually, Renee, come up here for me. I want everybody to think about their, wait a minute, I need to go this way. Let me go this way one time here, because I got slides for that. I am not a good PowerPoint person, because I feel like it's death by PowerPoint. I'm a much better just let me talk to you and tell you. So, why do we need to either do a jaw thrust or do a head tilt chin lift? The reason we have to do that is because when you're knocked out, that means completely knocked out, flaccid, our tongue falls to the back of our mouth, right, and closes that up. Sometimes just opening the airway will allow somebody to start breathing on their own, right? So when we were talking about airway management in that first slide, that 23% of people could have survived, y'all, just by being able to know what to do to open the airway could have prevented deaths of those motorcyclists on the side of the road, all right? So instead of doing a head tilt chin lift in order to open the jaw, what we do is a jaw thrust. Because what did I say? We're gonna suspect head and neck injury in every motorcycle accident. If you go off that bike, any way, shape, or form, think about it. If your head hits the ground, even at low speeds, Hong talked about that. Even at low speeds, that injury can be very significant, right? So in every accident, if somebody goes off the bike, we're suspecting head and neck injuries. So what we want to do is remove the jaw. Not remove the jaw, that would be awesome, but if I could do that, that would be bad. Anyway, we want to be able to push the jaw itself, right, forward to remove the tongue from the roof of the mouth. So let's look at some little graphics here. So our jaw is able to do several things. It can go up and down, right? It can go in and out. Underbites, that kind of thing. So that's what we're looking at. Up and down, in and out. All right, come here, Renee. Can everybody sort of kind of see me? Sort of kind of? Sort of kind of? All right? If Renee was laying on the ground, she's totally out, right? She's not breathing, all of that. Number one, first thing I'd do is take her glasses off, because that's going to impede me being able to get there. But I am going to reach, and right there at the bottom of her jaw, right here, everybody can feel theirs. I'm gonna hold there, I'm gonna put my thumbs here kind of on the sinuses to give myself a little leverage, and I'm gonna push her jaw forward, right? On yourself or on Renee, when you're not out, there's not enough slack, it's hard to really show, right? But it gives you enough just to take the tongue off the back of the throat. Here's the cool thing about my guy up here. So, I told you I teach CPR and first aid and all those things, right? You guys have taken a CPR class. Head tilt chin lift, right? These actually are jaw thrust dummies, and this is what we practice on in class. So for those of you that can't see, can you see how my show? Can y'all see it coming up? So after this, I want you to come up and play with this guy, right? And show. Can you show it around? Thank you. All right. Second thing I want you to realize is that this class is motorcycle centric. All of the skills are equatable to others, but it is motorcycle centric. So I don't teach helmet removal to people out in the public until I've taught jaw thrust rescue breathing. Because if you're taking off the helmet, it means you couldn't manage the airway. If you can't manage the airway and they've had an accident on a motorcycle when we're removing a helmet, I want you to suspect head and neck injury. So you have to learn the jaw thrust technique, all right? Let's talk about some helmets. Obviously, they come in lots of shapes, sizes, types, and all of that. There are two conditions in which to remove a helmet. It has to be full face, or you cannot control the airway. What does that mean? So even a modular helmet, some of the modular helmets have a lot of padding to the front. If I can't get my hand in there to be able to do that jaw thrust, that modular helmet may need to come off. 3/4 helmet might look the same, right? But if I can get my hand in there and I can manage that airway, we're gonna leave it on. So otherwise, the only way you're taking a helmet off at the scene of a crash, right? They ain't talking to you, they ain't breathing, right? Or they've got so much blood, guts, and stuff in their mouth that they're choking on it, and you need to help them clear that airway. Does that make sense? Keep the helmet on. American Academy of Orthopedics says that 2 rescuers are needed for safe helmet removal. So that is the preferred way all the way around. If you're out by yourself, there is a one-way, but that's in an advanced session of my class. All right. All right, let's talk a little bit about helmet removal. So again, the only way we're taking the helmet off is what? They're not breathing, we can't control the airway, correct? And we already know that we have to do a jaw thrust to open that airway up and decide whether we are gonna give rescue breaths or not. So, assess the breathing. You're gonna remove the chin strap from the helmet. I always tell everybody, if it takes you a while to remove the chin strap, you can't figure it out, they got a big fat neck, and you can't get in there, they got a lot of beard, and you can't figure all of that, cut the strap, but do not use a knife. Please do not put a knife up to anybody's neck. That's a bad, bad scene, right? There are 3 things that I carry no matter what. No matter what I carry, because I can save your life on the side of the road with these 3 things. A tourniquet, a pair of trauma shears, and an airway barrier. That's all I need. I can save your life on the side of the road if I have those 3 things. All right, because I can makeshift everything else. So carry a pair of trauma shears on your bike, be able to cut a helmet. You can cut boots, leather, preferably not, but if you can take it off, somebody be nice. All right, so once you've removed the strap, having 2 people, you put the head in a neutral position no matter what, guys. So everybody asks me if they crash and their head's flopped over to the side, do we leave it like that because we're suspecting head and neck injury? No, we're gonna move it to a neutral position. Why do we do that? Our vertebrae is not completely round, right? They are kind of oblong shaped like this. When they're turned sideways, they're even less. So when we turn them back this way, we're giving more room and we're setting everything kind of up straight, right? So we want their head in a neutral position. Right? We need at least 2 people. One person takes the top of the head, the other one starts holding jaw and underneath the base. And as we move the helmet off, right, we need to have something to put under there. Because the reason I brought this helmet is to show you that, sorry about that, it falled. If this helmet was on my dummy like it was, right? We talked about different shapes. This helmet isn't round on the bottom, right? If I pulled the head out, how much room do you think you'd have between the head and the ground? There'd be about yay much room, right? So we need to fill that space underneath there in order to keep the head from flopping back. So have something there prepared to fill that space. So fill the space there, not under the neck, at the back of the head. When Renee comes back up here with my dummy, after she shows it off, we'll do a demonstration of helmet removal. So what do the classes offer you, right? Again, it's not a This is not a basic, 4-hour CPR, first aid, AED. You can get that somewhere else. Actually, you can get it from me. I teach that too, right? This is a full-on trauma class. 7 hours of instruction, right? We have a basic and an advanced. The advanced class will go into airway management through oral airways, right? Medical emergencies, and a lot of other more complicated things. The prerequisite to that is the basic, and it doesn't matter if you're an EMT, paramedic, you're a combat medic, you're an ER doctor. I've had neurosurgeons take my class, everything else. You have to take the basic before you take the advanced because they build on each other. And again, ER doctor, paramedic, neurosurgeon, right? They may know a lot, but this is motorcycle centric, right? So they can learn a lot about a lot of things, but talking about just mechanism of injury for the motorcyclist, helmet removal, jaw thrust, these are very specific to trauma within the motorcycle scene. That's why it's so important to have this. That's why bystander assistance for anybody is so important. It gives you the confidence to do something, right? How many in here carry a first aid kit? Hey! How many of y'all carry a trauma kit? All right. Have y'all taken my class? I know he has. No? So, what I always say, it's great to have a trauma kit, but do you know how to use everything in it? That's the big thing, right? A lot of trauma kits that you buy online come with a decompression needle and a nasopharyngeal airway and all of that, and that is not something that the standard person is going to use on the side of the road, right? I offer trauma kits, help you build a trauma kit, and let you know how to use everything in it. So the first time that you ever have to use a tourniquet, right, on the side of the road shouldn't be the first time you've opened one and looked at it. First time you ever have to use a emergency trauma bandage on the side of the road should not be the first time you've ever opened it or looked at it. It's so important. It's muscle memory. We will fall to the level of our training. As motorcyclists, y'all know this. As motorcycle safety instructors, you know this, right? That the more we train, the more likely we are in when the situation needs it for that training to come up. So that's why these are so important. I wish I didn't need to have to know all this. I wish these classes didn't have to be there, but we just heard about the likelihood of us getting in a crash. It's not an if, it's a when, and knowing what to do on the side of the road can absolutely save a life.
Did you need him?
Oh, yeah, well, we're going to do that in a second. But lastly, for those of you who are EMS firefighters, know those people, all of that, there is a professional level series of this class as well that teaches them the specifics of just the motorcycle specific stuff. So it's great, so please let your people know. Let's see. Road Guardians. Road Guardians is the nonprofit that supports accident scene management. Please go check them out, donate to them, become a lifetime member as Rita is down there. And they do a lot of good work, and they are the ones that make sure that the stuff I teach is accredited, that it is evidence-based, that it is backed by science, that all of that. Again, just like American Heart Association does that for me for CPR and gives me updates every 5 years, right? Road Guardians and Accident Scene Management does the same thing. Let's see, I ain't worried about that because we're running out of time. So, this is my information. So please follow me on the Facebook. If you want any information about a class, if you want to take a class, if you want to get a class started for any of your groups or that kind of thing, that's what I'm here for. I will teach anywhere in the state of Texas, all right? Got to teach. No, got a place for me to teach. I will absolutely ride my motorcycle there to teach you, so let me know. Last thing, would y'all like to see a demonstration of helmet removal? Do we have time for that?
Yes, we do. And if we all come up to the middle, we might
It would be
able
a
to
whole
do
lot
it.
easier.
Yeah.
So there's an empty table over on the other side, if y'all want to go over to that empty table and we can, or up to the stage, I don't know. Do it on the floor?
Should I keep this on or not?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
If you're going to
All right.
talk through something, keep it on the floor. But if y'all want to come up and gather around, you can kind of see a little better what the technique is. We got to get up and get the blood moving anyway.
Please do, come up, come up. The last thing I want to show you guys, every one of you got a little keychain from me, right? What this is a one-way barrier. So if you are going to do any kind of rescue breathing for anybody, unless you are already swapping bodily fluids with them, please do not put your mouth on them, all right? Without a barrier. What it is, this is what is in here. It won't, this way, I can blow in. This way, can't. It keeps all that fluid and anything from coming up in my mouth, right? This is one of the easiest things to carry. I have them all over the place. They're in my car, in my bike, on my keychains, right? And you are always prepared to provide that rescue breathing. And you could possibly save 32% of accidents, as you saw. That's pretty significant, just being able to manage the airway, right? Because when a traumatic brain injury happens, when a traumatic head injury, swelling happens in the brain and in the neck, and we stop breathing. And if we can manage that breathing until EMS gets there, we can increase their ability to survive. So, all right, let's talk about this. I'm doing it from here, because, all right, my guy crashed. Come over here, guys. Yeah, come over here. My guy crashed. He went, pew! First thing I'm gonna do, spinal alignment, right? My poor helmet's been through a lot, right? Hey guy, you're not okay. Hey Renee, I think he has stopped breathing. We're gonna have to get this helmet off. Can you go ahead and take the straps off for me, please?
Pretend they're straps
Blah, blah,
on.
blah, blah, blah.
Do I use a knife?
No, don't use the knife. Don't use the knife. Can you grab his chin and put your other hand underneath the base of his neck?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. At this point, I have swapped spinal stabilization from me to her. She has the chin, she's got the base of the head. I am gonna grab the straps.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, the straps. I kind of had to shove his head in
Okay,
there.
that's all right.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab the straps, and as you see, I've got my forearms here. The helmet is egg-shaped, so I need to pull out, right? So I'm gonna pull out. Now, Renee, as I'm sliding this helmet off, slide your hand against the base of the skull.
Okay.
When I know it's about to come off, I'm gonna let her know, hey Renee, I'm about to pull the helmet off, do you have his head?
I do have it.
Because the head weighs how much, guys?
A lot.
Almost 10 pounds. Once she has it there, I'm gonna take back over control, right? I've got his head now.
You got it?
Yep,
Okay.
she's gonna fill that space underneath.
Oh, look, I just so happen to have this hoodie thing right here. But that's too small.
And then once she fills that space, guess what I can do? That jaw thrust so that I open it up and, oh, look at that, spectacularly, he started breathing, yay! If he didn't, I can start doing a rescue breathing on him. That is one of the beautiful things that you learned in my class. So
Do you not use the cheek pad removal?
I can, this one's just, if they have it, I always say look for that, but not every helmet has it. Makes it a whole lot easier. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? The emergency removal on the inside? Take those out.
Take the helmet off?
Yep. If they have it in there, but not all helmets have it. And if he had say he had a modular helmet on, right? I would flip that up, see if I can get my fingers in there. If I couldn't, then I'd remove it the exact same way with it up, right? Because you guys know on a modular helmet, that front piece is tight. It doesn't move the same way as a full face helmet. All right, what other questions we got? Because I know that they're wanting to get out of here, we're all wanting to get out of here, so questions?
When she was holding the jaw, it's a little hard to see from back here. How were you holding and securing the jaw?
That.
I was holding it like this.
Like literally, I always say, you know, like your kids, like you're gonna grab your kid and be like, hey, yeah, you're gonna grab it like that, yep. So you put your hand in there and grab it like you're gonna grab your kid, and that's holding that head, and then her hand on the base. Now she's got spinal control. She's not gonna let that head go anywhere. So,
Unless I don't like him, then when she's not looking.
so any other questions? Classes, let me talk real quick about how classes go. Classes, you can get a sponsor to help if you have a group, right? And I always say like an accident injury lawyer or a Harley Davidson or a Cycle Gear or something like that, right? To help offset the price of the class. I always tell everybody, right, don't make them free. People won't show up to free classes. They'll sign up, but they won't show up, right? Put a little skin in the game. So I always do like 50 bucks. So if your sponsor pays for half, your students pay for half. I charge $100 in the state of Texas, and that's a pretty fair price for an 8-hour trauma class. I know. Because I believe in it. I'm not making any money. It's just something I do on the side, right? It is really about me training all of you guys and making sure y'all are my community. Y'all are who I ride with. Right? I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to take this if you can.
So the advanced is the same price?
Yeah.
The advanced was the question.
The advance is the same price. Yes, it is. Again, I make it as economical as possible. So,
CPR really is working like miracle. My husband loves pickleball because people get to this age, it's like the social thing to do. You can't believe it. We happened to be on scene for 2 of those. One was in our neighborhood. This gentleman, a little older, he just suddenly had a cardio problem and just went out. And we just all went in, CPR, and there were, because it was all people, we all know each other, so there were a guy that was just, you know, right on mouth, and get his 911, and 3 months later,
American Heart
he's on the
Association's got
court again.
much
you
better
know.
lobbyists than I do.
And half a year later, we were having a vacation in Tahoe, and this guy who came from maybe Chicago area, and we were talking for the first time, it's, oh, you know, I think he just doesn't get used to the altitude, because Chicago is kind of a lower, so he flew in for the weekend. We're playing, and they all double duels, and you just see him suddenly kind of freeze and just keeled over. CPR and all that,
Yep.
you know, he's already breathing by the time the ambulance got there.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
bystander assistance is real. You know, motorcyclists are the first ones to usually to be on the scene of another accident, right? We're out riding together, we're riding the same roads and all of that. So having other motorcyclists trained to be able to handle a traumatic situation is huge, is absolutely huge.
And I'm going to argue that as someone who rides alone mostly, anybody on the roadway is a bystander and
Yes.
can help, which is why hopefully there's still some of those car drivers, cagers still around this late in the
Absolutely.
day. It could just be somebody in a car that is around, stops by, sees, and can help. So
Yeah.
I will go even beyond, even though the training itself is motorcycle-centric,
It's equatable.
yeah. Anybody that can be around a motorcycle crash is a bystander.
Absolutely. It's
So, go
equatable
wide.
too. Trauma's trauma. So,
CPR is very hard to do. And,
super hard.
you know, if you have 2 people there can do it, they can
Yeah.
learn, you know, and that's what we did. It's like, oh my,
Yeah.
getting out of shape now. And 2 people get on there and taking
Yeah.
turns before the EMS was there.
Any other questions?
Another sales pitch for the training is that part of the training is how to manage the scene, how to manage traffic. And as Kathy just said, you know, we all have the potential to be bystanders, and Hong reinforced that. A good share of what you learn in this training with the managing the scene can be used at a car crash.
Yep.
Can be used at, I used it for a situation like Hong's where someone went into heart failure, and I helped manage the scene, getting the ambulance in more quickly, getting people taken care of. It's all because of things I learned in the accident scene management training.
Thank you. Thank you, Rita. Any other questions, guys, before we close up?
I just want to mention one thing I forgot to say. If anybody is interested in what I shared today about the testing at Snell, there is a YouTube channel, 10-minute video for motorcycle helmet complete test lab tour. So if you can share with your club or your program or your employees, it would be a great quick training material.
And for me,
Thank you.
just get in contact with me. All right?
Have motorcycle, will travel. So thank you. Let's give her a hand.